So I would now like to start by inviting the ambassador of the Republic of Algeria to the Netherlands, Mr. Lounès Magramane, for a brief opening statement. Please go ahead, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you very much. I am very delighted to share this important event in Algeria alongside of my colleagues, His Excellency Mr. Robert van Embden, Ambassador of the Netherlands in Algeria, and the honorable step speakers. I would like also to extend my sincere gratitude to the Netherlands Africa Business Council, NABC, for the much appreciated opportunities given to my country to hold this opening session for the amazing work have done to organize this event in spite of the coronavirus crisis. There is no doubt that we are all here at an important defining moment in the midst of the corona crisis for talking about the opportunity to doing business in Algeria. In terms of setting out the context, let me point out that Algeria has an exceptional geographic position, as you know, a dynamic demography account for 44 million inhabitants, a political and macroeconomic stability, and a young labor force. Algeria has also the fourth GDP of the African continent, $183 billion in 2019, and the highest GDP in North Africa. Looking ahead, Algeria is poised to play a key role in the global African economy, building on a steady economic progress and political reforms. The Algerian government took significant steps to improve the well-being of its people by implementing social policies, investing in infrastructure projects, and improve the country's human development indicator. The current political stability, as it was stated by my predecessor now, Mr. Peter de Ritter, the current political stability with the election of the President of the Republic, Abdullah, has increased the level of predictability in the business environment in Algeria and facilitated practical measures to speed up the implementation of new economic model based on development, diversification, and knowledge economy. In fact, the President of the Republic announced the priority to revise the constitution to establish a new Algeria that correspond to the legitimate expectation and aspiration of the people of Algeria, including the popular movement, the Hirak. Seeking a recovery plan, Algeria new government recently removed the rule of 5149, governing foreign investment according to the supplementary finance law for 2020 with the specific aims of improving, developing investment and upgrading business, except, as you know, the national strategic companies. In addition to this major step, Algeria government has launched a strategy to grow the competitiveness of its national commerce based primarily on regulating industry activities and the redeployment of the economic sector, pointing out the importance of giving the priority to the product with high integration rate. Despite the recent global economic slowdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Algerian government is committed to maintain macroeconomic stability, respond to the public health crisis, and pursue structural reforms. The Algerian state is leaving the doors open to foreign investment in a number of sectors like industry, agriculture, fishing, aquaculture, telecommunication, public works, and transport. There are therefore enormous opportunities on offer to foreign investors interested in intervening in the country and doing business after the removal of the ownership investment rule and introducing the right of use foreign financing. The foreign investment project may also enjoy from tax exemption and reduction depending on the project location and impact on the economic and social development. In exchange, foreign investment is required to improve national production in order to, on one hand, reduce the number of imports, and the other hand, diversify national export. To this end, foreign investors are expected to facilitate a transfer of technology, in particular the distribution of new technologies and the development of managerial capacities. Let me now come back to the cooperation between Algeria and Netherlands. This cooperation is also promising and has taken many forms and dimensions. The last years, the bilateral cooperation took a new dimension and diversifies itself more and more. The third Algerian-Dutch Joint Committee, held in Algiers on March 2018, was an occasion for both parties to boost the bilateral cooperation based on an ambitious action plan aiming at the consolidation of the economic and the technological cooperation in diverse sectors, in particular agriculture, industry, water resources, harbor activity, energy. Since this session, Algeria and Netherlands signed 3 cooperation agreements in the sector of agriculture, renewable energies, and the harbor activities. Currently, we are working for the concretization of 2 important ministerial visits: the Algerian Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development to the Netherlands, and the visit to Algeria of the Dutch Minister for Foreign Trade and Development Cooperation. On this subject, I have the pleasure to take this opportunity to announce to the Dutch economy operator that the draft presidential decree about the ratification of the agreement on the avoidance of double taxation has been adopted on 1st of June 2020. And soon we will receive the instrument of ratification. This new instrument is an important step in improving the trade relation and increasing the investment with the Netherlands. In addition to that, we are currently working with Dutch authorities for the reopening by the national company Air Algerie of the direct flight Algiers-Amsterdam, and why not in the future a maritime line from Rotterdam to Algiers. I must emphasize that the Algerian side, which proposed the opening this summer of the airline, is still waiting for the reply of the Dutch side, who indicated that this project could not be done due to the saturation of slots. We really would like this initiative to be achieved for the benefit of both countries and investors.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador, for the very inspiring words. We're now also joined by the Dutch Ambassador to Algeria, Mr. Robert van Embden, who will tell us a little bit more about the focus areas of the Dutch Embassy in Algeria when it comes to economic cooperation.
Good morning, all. And thanks to NABC for your kind invitation to participate in this webinar on doing business in Algeria. And good morning, dear colleague, His Excellency Ambassador Magramane. What are the main opportunities, the main challenges, and what kind of mindset would you need? His Excellency Ambassador Magramane already highlighted several aspects. Algeria, the biggest country in Africa with a population of 43 million, relatively young and well educated, and with its main city Algiers being the capital in the Arab world, which is closer to Amsterdam than any of the others. And a strategic partner of the Netherlands, especially in 2016, the Mixed Commission at ministerial level was reinstated. As Ambassador Magramane pointed out, a subsequent mixed commission took place in May 2018 in Algiers. We had hoped for a meeting between 2 ministers of foreign affairs with their respective delegations this month in June, but well, due to the coronavirus, that had to be postponed. But we hope that this fall Minister Boukhadoum of Foreign Affairs of Algeria can come to The Hague with his delegation. First of all, a few words about the tough challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. This is true for the Netherlands as it is in Algeria. The impact on the Dutch economy has obviously been considerable, with strong effects felt now already, but also expected to hit home little. Obviously, Algeria is facing a precarious situation as well, although the number of fatalities has been much lower so far. But the drop in the oil and natural gas prices is, of course, quite a blow for an oil and gas dependent economy as of Algeria. The country announced its first COVID-19 case in late February and took precautionary measures. As a matter of fact, a lockdown against the virus as from mid-March. Also, in view of the fragility of the economic situation, the government announced recently the restarting of several commercial activities, including the reopening of shops and authorization of work at building sites and public works. This has come into effect since last week, and since last Sunday, most offices are open again. The population has been urged to strictly abide by precautionary measures like hygiene, distance keeping, and wearing of face masks, which is all crucial in order to contain the virus, which is still very much present. And hopefully people will appreciate that it is in their own best interest of their families and of society at large. Government is forecasted to face a sizable budget shortfall this year, and GDP will certainly shrink like everywhere in the world, especially due to the fall in energy prices. At the same time, the corona crisis has once again underlined that the long-standing economic model of Algeria, exclusively relying almost on the sale of oil and gas, is really up for renewal. During many decades, Algeria has been dependent for about 95% of its export revenue on energy sales. And obviously that model is untenable. A matter of fact, that is the basis for new government policies promoting diversification of the economy, as also pointed out by Ambassador Magramane. Since the drop in the oil price of 2014 from over $100 per barrel to $60 per barrel, Algeria has been spending every year part of its currency reserves that stood at almost $200 billion in 2014. With an oil price of only $35 to $40, that loss of currency reserves is even accelerating. And think about employment. For instance, in this country of 44 million, every year more than 1 million young people need jobs. Thus, other promising sectors like agriculture, food processing industries, tourism, and others have to be reinforced. There's no other option in order to substitute imports and also for export purposes. Also diversification of the export package. Another sector, water technology and strengthening of the port system, go hand in hand with that. All sectors in which Dutch companies excel. Later on, also renewable energy will be quite an interesting highlight. Against this background, Algeria offers great opportunities for companies that are willing to take risks, have a long-term vision and the necessary stamina. As an Algerian slogan says, what is needed? Patience, perseverance, and presence in order to achieve the fourth P, profitability. A few words about the Algerian imports. The Algerian economy remains, because of the emphasis so far on the production of oil and gas, highly dependent on imports, both of food and agricultural products like wheat, maize, milk powder, sugar, soybeans. Altogether, 60 to 70% of its needs in terms of foods imported. And also of industrial components, especially for the oil and gas sector, but also other sectors, machinery, cars, chemical and pharmaceutical products. For the Netherlands, the milk powder market in particular is currently a large market. The import of milk powder accounts for 2.5% of all Algerian imports and is worth 1.1 billion euros. Interesting fact also that Algeria is our #1 export destination for seed potatoes with a value of 80 million euros per year. And of course, so Algeria, Dutch cheese is highly appreciated. All in all, Algeria is our biggest trading partner in the Maghreb. The country is not far away from Europe, as I mentioned. At this moment, there are not yet direct flights. Ambassador Magramane mentioned that, but that may change soon for both passengers and cargo. That would mean a flight time of 2.5 hours from Schiphol Airport. Around 100 Dutch companies are already active in Algeria and have gone through that process, from big multinationals to small and medium-sized companies. My embassy, especially our economic section and our new agricultural counselor, we have now a fully fledged office of the agricultural counselor since 2019 in the Dutch embassy in Algiers, part of the intensification of our bilateral relation, political and economic, with Algeria. We are more than happy to assist you in gaining access to this really promising market. And the same goes obviously for the Caan, our Algerian-Dutch Business Council. In this connection, I finally like to mention that we were working on an official visit of our Minister for Development Cooperation and Foreign Trade to Algeria, Mrs. Sigrid Kaag. The Algerian ambassador mentioned also that together with a trade mission, well, due to the coronavirus, that is not feasible before the end of 2020, but I trust that next year that mission will actually go ahead. And for several of our participants today, it might be very interesting to participate in such a trade mission. As said, Algeria is still a country where the state calls the shots to a large extent, and presenting yourself as part of a ministerial delegation has certainly a lot of added value. So don't miss such an opportunity. Thank you very much for your attention.
Right. Thank you so much for the very, very inspiring words and for stressing once more the tremendous opportunities that are available in Algeria for Dutch companies. Maybe Mr. Alwin, you can introduce yourself very shortly, explain some of your main activities, and maybe a little bit go into your experience, how you think Algeria has been impacted by COVID-19 and how you see the recovery, how do you expect that will happen?
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Alwin. I am a Dutch entrepreneur. I've been living and entrepreneuring in Algeria since 2006. My business is in hydraulic systems to tip trucks, and so we equip trucks, we supply the local manufacturing factories of trucks with hydraulic systems. And besides that, my hobby, my big passion is desert racing, and from that I also started the business in equipping 4x4 cars with all kinds of, let's say, goodies for people that like that. Besides that, I'm the actual president of Caan, which is the Conseil d'affaires Algérien-Néerlandais. Caan is, let's say, founded by a group of enthusiastic, mainly Algerian entrepreneurs that had or have a link with, let's say, with the Netherlands. And together we've all seen that there's many opportunities to link, let's say, Dutch and Algerian entrepreneurs together. The main role of Caan at this moment is to bring those two cultures and to bring those two business people, mainly from Algeria, in contact with Dutch companies. And what we mainly see is that there's a vast demand. What we also see is that the Netherlands and Dutch companies and Dutch entrepreneurs are really appreciated in Algeria. And that's mainly because of the knowledge and also the approach we have as Dutch people to doing business. There's several cultures and several business cultures in the world, and we have as Dutch people, the typical approach to do business. It must be pleasure and strict rules, let's say, and that's a little bit the same I find in Algeria. Another thing that's really what I find is that we have kind of the same approach in personal relationships as well, and that's that we as Dutch people are very direct, and that's the same for Algerian people. We don't cut behind one's back, and we say we like somebody or we don't like somebody, and that's the same in Algeria. However, what we typically see is that there's mainly a vast demand for, let's say, agricultural knowledge at this moment. Also, we see a shift from, let's say, pure importing, and let's say pure industry, to going to also that, you know, Algeria is a very vast and big country, and one of the richdoms is the space they have and the fertility of let's say unexplored agricultural lands. I get a lot of people, because as soon as you are Dutch, people think of agriculture or dredging or building harbors and stuff like that. But so many times I get questions and people say, oh, I still have 1,000 hectares of ground and I want to explore it. I search for a Dutch partner. And what we as Caan want to do is bring together Algerian and Dutch companies but the requests from our Dutch, let's say, members is mainly knowledge and how do you call it, training of low, and especially in the agricultural scene. Holland is, of course, the second agricultural export in the world with this tiny country. So the only thing we come across, what I see myself, is that we have this expression in Dutch that a Dutch farmer doesn't eat what he doesn't know, and that is sometimes that's one of our roles, or we want to develop that you know, Dutch people. There's, first of all, there's the language barrier. Dutch like to roam, let's say, in the Anglo-Saxon world, and they a little bit they don't always like to go to the French world. Me personally, I've seen that many years back, and I focused. I didn't speak French. I did a French learning with the nuns, as we say in Holland, because I wanted to focus on these French-spoken, let's say, countries, and that's something I find that's a barrier between the Dutch and the Algerians, and I hope that we can, as Caan, facilitate in bringing that boundary down. And especially what we see in Algeria at this moment, there's a big change going on. Okay, we have COVID now, but Algeria was already in a transformation for 1 or 2 years. COVID is an extra, let's say, break on this development, but the country is going on. Now, I see the questions that were asked to me is because I'm a local, let's say, economical operator. With the lockdown, of course, Algeria has very strictly followed this up during a certain period, but it has never been stopped completely. And I think also one of the advantages that Algeria has is that, again, it has been changing already for 2 years. The whole political system has changed, but also the economy is based on reality. It's not based on credit. It's not based on loans. It's not. So you have to, let's say, do your entrepreneurship with your own money. Algeria doesn't want hit and run business anymore, as I call it. So they don't want people flying in, trying to sell their stuff here and then fly out again. They want real partnerships, and they want to go from, let's say, purely importing to local production, local partnerships. And as I see myself as a Dutch guy here, is that we are very much appreciated as people with knowledge. And again, our way of doing business is similar to the way of doing business in Algeria. So I think this whole change in political system, and also, to be quite honest, this COVID situation, I think it will bring many opportunities for Dutch people. They only have to have the, if I may say it like this, they have to have the balls to come here.
Thank you, Mr. Oud, for the very inspiring words. Maybe we have some additional questions at the Q&A. So I would like to now go to, so as we have discussed already during this webinar, there are already quite a lot of Dutch companies already active in Algeria. And one of them is Dutch seed company Rijkszwaan. And we are now joined by Abdullah Sassa, Business Manager, Middle East and Africa of Rijkszwaan. So Mr. Sassa, I think, are you still muted? Could you tell us a little bit more about your operations in Algeria?
Yes, thank you so much for this introduction, and I have the pleasure to be and join this webinar. My name is Abdullah Sassa. I am working for the Dutch seed company Rijkszwaan. I will make a short brief on the company, and then I will move to the activities in the Algerian market, as well as description of the market and the effect of COVID-19. So Rijkszwaan is a Dutch seed company established in 1924, and this company is breeding and producing and selling vegetable seeds. We are working with 27 crops, so cucumbers, tomatoes, eggplant, etc. And this company is employing over than 3,000 employees overall, and working in more than 100 countries. One of our key countries in the area is Algeria. We started to work in Algeria in the year 2004 with our professional business partner, Agriville company, Baha Group, an Algerian company started or established in 1906, and at the moment the fourth generation of Baha family running the company. Our activities in Algeria, of course, having two sides. So the commercial sides, where we delivers the seeds to our business partner and then to local growers all over the country, and also through some research and development in 3 locations belong to our partner. So we have one location in Ziralda in Algiers, and then in Mosaya, and there is also one third place in Biskra, where we do trials for new vegetable varieties and select from these trials what is more suitable to the Algerian conditions and Algerian growers. Now I want to describe a little bit from our point of view the Algerian market. How do we see it in vegetables? We can say vegetables are very important component in the daily dish of an Algerian family. Tomato, potato, all vegetables are really found in the daily dishes of the families. The second thing, what I would like to stress here is 100% of what Algerian people eat in vegetables is coming from local production. It's not like the case of maybe of other crops like sugar but really in vegetables, all what is consumed in the market is from local production. And here I would say, well done, Algeria. Another issue describing the market for us is that we consider it as a healthy market from that there is no much junk food. If we look to what people eat in Algeria, a lot of, again, tomato, potato, so still healthy stuff there. As well as it is a big market, as previous respectful participant mentioned, 44 million people is really a big market.
So let me introduce our next speaker of today before we go to the Q&A, which is Ms. Chafika Hadji of Groupe Djadi. Groupe Djadi is an importer of food, and it is the exclusive importer of fricot cheese to Algeria. So Ms. Hadji, thank you so much for joining us. Could you perhaps tell us a little bit more about Groupe Djadi?
Yes, good morning. First of all, thank you for the invitation in this webinar, and thank you for all the participants. In fact, the Groupe Djadi is one of the example of the strong partnership with the Netherlands, I mean with the Dutch companies. So Groupe Djadi is a group, an Algerian group, private one, acting in food industry and agriculture. One of our strategic partner is Friesland Campina, known as Fricot before. We are in activity with Friesland for more than 25 years ago. We are the leader of the Algerian market with 55% of the market share, with a large range of products, cheese, Dutch cheese product, Edam, Maasdam, Emmental, and Gouda. We have a packaging unit in Ouled Fayet in Algeria, the capacity of 2,000 tons per year with large investment. The current spirit of the Algerian now is, I mean, the Algerian, 55% of the Algerian know the Dutch fricot cheese. The local production is increased, but I'm sorry to tell you that the most of Algerians prefer the Dutch cheese. So because it's a good one. It's a top quality product. So all our products are distributed in Algeria with the sales force. What can I say? For the future, we had a big project. It's not because of the COVID-19, it's not really realized. We have the project of local production of fricot products, of fricot production of Dutch cheese. This is the great project for after COVID. And what we had, so we had some problems with the COVID. We had a decrease in the activity. We had our unit shut down for 1 month. Some achievement and forecast problem, but with the strong relationship we had with Friesland Campina, I think they made things easy. So we still have, even with COVID-19, we still have all our products on the market, and the government is taking some measures to facilitate the relationships between the two countries.
Could you perhaps share what you think is key on really promoting these projects? What do you think is very instrumental for perhaps other companies that want to introduce their products to the Algerian markets?
I think we had a discussion before on the expertise transfer, on the how, on the know-how. And know-how expertise of the Dutch on the agriculture sector, and on the dairy production, because Algeria has important need for milk, and we import massively. So the expertise transfer from the Dutch to Algerian, and the training of the Algerian people will be one of the solution.
All right, well, thank you so much. I think I now want to give our participants also the opportunity to ask our panelists some questions. And I already see that we have a question that have come in. So it is a question for Abdullah. Perhaps could you tell us a little bit more about the procedure of setting up a business in Algeria? And I think maybe even Alwin, you can also give some additional comments on how this procedure works. But I would first like to give the floor to Abdullah.
I am, as let's say, representing a Dutch seed company. I can tell maybe from the other side, there are several requirements for seeds, for example, in my case, that these requirements should be arranged, prepared before we ship anything to the country. Then local tests happening took place in the country. So with regard to vegetable seeds, Algeria is asking for really a big part of tests and analysis for the seeds before give the import permits for these to be imported, and locally also there are local tests for the seeds.
I think your question, again, it's a general question, and I don't know what points you exactly want us to cover in that. If it's the procedure, or if it all depends also in what market you want to operate. I mean, of course, you have the normal procedures as they are worldwide. In going to the Chamber of Commerce, you need to make the statutes, as they say, the statutes of the company. You have to pass by notary. You need a company, but then also it depends on what you want yourself. I mean, if you're not a Algerian national, it depends also in which sector you want to operate, because Algeria has changed from the 51% 49 rule to that you can have you can be 100% shareholder as a foreigner of your own company. This was also always possible, of course, when you were a national Algerian resident, and then, but there's only in that there's some restrictions in the fact that for some strategical sectors like the oil and gas industry, the 51-49% rule still remain.
So this is the end of the webinar. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. So next week we have another webinar focusing on doing business in Rwanda. Please subscribe online if you are interested. On behalf of NABC, I would like to thank everyone and would like to wish you a very wonderful rest of the day.